3, 2, 1. Here we go.
Welcome to PaRANTing. It's a podcast about kids, but kids shouldn't listen. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back, episode 30. We made it to the next week somehow. So, welcome back to the podcast. I am Katie G. I am the unprofessional stepmom, and I'm here with my lovely cousin, Brock Adam, from the Winter Peg, who is also Jamie and Amelia's dad.
True.
By choice, I think.
Yeah. I choose to be their dad. I didn't choose to become a dad. That was an oopsie.
That's
listen,
fair.
Neither here nor there. I love my children. I just do. As much as they drive me nuts, which is what children are for. That is their thing.
It's their essence.
It's yeah, exactly. So I'm a little flustered. It's been a day. I've had a day, and when you have kids and you're having a day, it's almost like having 2 days at once, because you're just yelling at my computer to not be a jerk, and it's having all these problems, and I'm on with tech support, which I hate because I'm generally more tech savvy than the person I'm talking to. So it's a very frustrating process. And then on top of that, the kids come down and you're like, yes, what can I do for you? You know,
Yeah.
You got that.
Exactly.
You just gotta pause, shift.
Game face. Yep.
Like, I'm not mad at you. I don't need to yell at you. Your therapist doesn't need to hear about this in a couple of years, that I'm taking my frustrations out on you over there, because you're
There'll be plenty of other things that they'll need therapy for. This just doesn't need to be one of them. There'll be lots more.
Yep, that. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Agreed.
100%.
No, I feel that. Actually, well, we started this a little early because we had posted that, our normal kind of scheduled time would be, 7 p.m. Atlantic, and then for the Winter Peg people,
5 p.m.
The 5 p.m. So we had to do it a little bit earlier today, which I appreciate. So thank you for accommodating that. It's because I had to. Rod is in Newfoundland for work for a whole week. So I dropped him off at the airport on Wednesday, and he comes back on Thursday next week. So
I've been just sitting there on the screen with me on it the whole time. All of a sudden, Raider Roddy, I don't know who that guy is. He's like, so
that would be
where's
Rod.
KDG? I got to be on top of this. Thanks, Rod. I appreciate that. By the way, just to make Katie go away for a second, there is this chat box, which for whatever reason, it doesn't look like it's working. So never mind. We're just going to go back to this. But
More tech issues.
I can read the chat. So we're okay.
That's so funny. So it's just been you this whole time while I'm talking.
Yeah, you're just talking and I'm just chilling.
You're a very good ventriloquist.
Well, that would make me the dummy, actually.
Well, I mean, you said it.
Shut up. Nobody asked you. Oh my God.
No, I just volunteered that information. Anyway, what I was saying is just that Rod, thank you for pointing that out. Hello. But he's in Newfoundland. So I am what I say on kid duty, but when you have teenagers and one that drives themselves, it's not really that cumbersome. But I did have to get the youngest, Jillian, I had to get her to theater tonight. So that's from 6 to 8 my time. So I'm kind of doing this right in the middle of, I dropped her off, we're doing this, and then I go pick her up. So
what is the show she's doing? She's doing theater. Where is she doing it? Not that. Okay, I don't know if you want to share that information because weirdos on the internet. But what is the production?
So they're doing Matilda. So she was in. They had performances last year, and they had done Frozen. So it's like the Frozen Junior, they call it. That's the kind of script that they go off of. But they always do the junior ones because they have a lot of, there's a variety. I think Jill would be one of the oldest kids there. But anyway, they're doing Matilda, which is very fun. So she's down. It's just down the road from us here. So she seems to really like it. She's got a couple of friends and has made a few new friends. And so Rod and I both went to go see her for Frozen. And it's funny because the place where they hold it is like, it's a very old building. It's not really well set up for performances. But it was really cool. It was the first time I've ever really gone to something like that. And it's funny because I've been this way since I think Rod and I have been together. Anytime that the girls have had any sort of, whether it's a sporting event or when they were in like gymnastics or dance and stuff, they would have these like little recitals and stuff. And like the last time I remember going to one, I think they both were in one for dance. And I literally cried. Like, I don't know where that comes from. Like, it was... I don't know. I wasn't expecting myself to get so like emotional. Like you get that like proud parent type moment and you're like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. You did a tumble. That's so great. And I don't know. It was really funny because I just stopped myself. I'm like, why am I crying? Like this is so over dramatic. But I kind of felt the same way. Like when you see them kind of doing something that they love to do, or I don't know. It was really cool. So I really enjoyed it. And she's kind of making it her thing, and she puts a lot of, work into it. So anyway, yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool.
I think that's awesome. And, Amelia loves dance, and she's quite, coordinated. All of her mom's siblings, they were all in dance. And
oh, okay.
They're one of the siblings, actually, a couple of them actually still teach dance, where Amelia was taking dance until classes were not allowed to happen anymore. Mm-hmm. And she will dance around the living room and bounce off the walls and she'll break out all the ballet moves she remembers and put them in order. And her school, they do this thing every so often when they come up, like they make up lyrics to songs and things, but she always puts hers to a dance and then shows me. So she'll come home and, Papa, I made a dance and I did this. And I was like, oh, was that part of your assignment? She's like, nope.
Went off script for that one.
Yeah, well, but she loves it, and she loves movement, and she'll watch the Ninja Turtles, and then she'll do all these fighting moves, but you can tell like the dance is in there in her movement and her fluidness.
Well, kids are naturally, they mimic, right? They kind of, they see things, they want to do those things, or whatever it is. I don't know if you ever, did that as a kid, like the dancing or making up plays or doing some sort of thing for your parents. Because, I know the kids used to do that for us. Like, it would be, they would go in a room and then they would practice something and then we'd have to go in and watch them. It would be like a little performance. So, I kind of miss those days. Now it's just watching them do a TikTok in the kitchen. So it's not really the same.
and being mad at you for being in there and ruining the shot.
Yeah, exactly. And, I'm like, anyway, it's really funny to watch someone make a TikTok. I find it very hysterical. So I get a lot of joy out of that. So that's fine.
I do think it's kind of funny because you'll see TikToks, you're like, that's really cool what they just did. And then they'll show the behind the scenes and I'm like, that's way less cool. Like
it's just weird.
Yeah. There's people like staring at you usually if you do it in public. And
oh yeah.
Like, it's odd. It's odd.
I know. It's really funny. And so, but I think about it, I remember doing this as a kid when we lived in it's like a duplex thing when I was younger, and my mom and like a couple of her friends were over and they had some kids. And so we would all kind of just hang out together. And for whatever reason, so we decided to like put on this like production. None of us were in dance or theater or anything like that. We were just annoying little shits that were like, watch me, like, just wanting the attention or whatever. Right. So the living room, was like you walk in the door and to the left, it like opened up into this really big, like the whole thing was big. And it was just like your living room space went into like a little dining room area. So it was all kind of open, but where the door is, there was like this block. So we would like go back there. We would like plan something out and then we would perform it as if it was like a stage. And so like, and they would watch it. But the funny thing is that Mom and I've talked about this in recent years, but she's like, yeah, Katie, we drank a lot. So we just found you entertaining for the most part.
That was when my parents, when I was younger, I didn't realize how much fun they were having on their own when we were around. And so we'd go to these house parties and whatnot, and I'm just like, oh, it's fun, whatever, kind of, if there's other kids there, it's great. But then there would be some where there wouldn't be kids. It would just be me and Amanda and a bunch of the neighbor adults. And, we'd be at the neighbor's house and just super upset that like, oh, this is so boring. But my parents are over there laughing their faces off and having a good time. And now that's it. That's me. That's
Yeah.
now I'm
Exactly.
just like, okay, what? Like I know you're not having fun. One more hour.
Just
Give me
10
one
more minutes
hour.
or yeah, exactly.
So
I know,
funny.
I get that too. But I get that too. I guess if it's at your own house, then it's more of like you're fine with it, right? When you're at your own house. But if you have to go somewhere to your like parents' friend's house, then you're like, oh my God, when can I get home? Like I'm over it. How many more drinks do you need to have?
at what point are you old enough that you can stay home and your parents can go over so that you don't have to deal with that and they can just unleash? Because that's the age I'm waiting for. And I know my parents when I was younger were waiting for that moment where I was old enough to stay home.
Yeah.
And it was a whole thing. And there was one time my parents were at the neighbor's house. There was some house party. And I called my mom because the cat pissed all over the radiator. And of course, the heat's
the
on.
radiator.
Yeah. So it's just like this smell of boiling cat piss
Oh my God.
going through the whole house.
Awful.
And my mom was so mad at me for
calling and
her.
ruining her, ruined her good time.
Because she had to come literally next door. She had to come back and like help me figure out how to, because it was like boiling and there was furniture that had to be moved. And, I was like 12 or 13 at the time. So like at that age where like leaving your kids at home by themselves. Well, I say that I don't know how people feel about it now. It's several decades later, but I'm from the generation where it was the kids leave the house and come back when the street lights come on. That was the generation I'm from. So I don't know how people feel about that now.
I think it all depends on your trust with your kids. You know what I mean? Or like how far you're going, or especially with technology now, like you're literally
But also,
a phone
the
or a
part
text
of town
away.
you live in
Yeah. Oh yeah.
is a huge factor.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
There's
that is fair. That is fair. I think like you kind of have to, as they get older. I mean, it depends on. It's all your comfort level. I would think as a parent, you would just be like, well, do I feel like they're responsible enough to not burn my house down?
Well, I mean, my kids are there now. They're only 7 and 9, and I would not leave them home alone. FYI, just for the concerned parents out there that think that that's where this is going. That is not at all where this is going. I would not leave my 7 and 9-year-old to their own devices in the home. However, aside from them being upset that there's nobody there, I think they would be fine. Jamie already has I don't let her cook without somebody at least in the kitchen.
That's a big thing too.
But she loves to cook. She's the 9-year-old. She loves to cook. Loves it. And I love that she loves it. And her
Gets that from her mom. Yeah.
Yeah, her mom's a chef. So I mean, it makes sense. So she's, can I cook eggs? Can I cook this? Can I cook? And but somebody has to be in the kitchen with you, obviously, for very obvious safety reasons and whatnot.
Right.
But I mean, I trust them to do all these things. I still don't feel comfortable with them home alone on their own. Because of the neighborhood we live in and because of other factors that have nothing to do with the children. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Right? And I get that feeding themselves, I could set them up with a bunch of things in the fridge and here's a bucket for supper, here's a bucket for lunch, here's a whatever. And you could leave them to their own devices. And I mean, I work from home and I'm in the basement right now and Jamie's on the top floor doing her own thing. 9 years old. Totally fine with that. Loves playing Minecraft. So she's online just,
gaming.
Just playing Minecraft. She's building worlds. And then her big thing is at the end of the day, can I show you what I built today? Okay. And it's always this brand new friggin' world. Like she doesn't, I made this house bigger. I created a brand new world. And here's my underground mansion. And here's this, and here's that. That's what she does. She loves it. And she's good at it. And she has fun. But
yeah, when kids are entertained, like when they're like zoned into something, they don't know that anything else is going on around them.
That's just it.
I feel like they just get so zoned in that unless that like they break that focus, they could probably stay there for hours and be totally fine. And I know what you mean. Like there is that trust level, but then there's also that other, factors that you have to think about. I mean, with our place here, it's, I don't know if anyone just saw that there was like a dust thing that just flew by my video. Anyway, out here where we are, we always just joke around and just call it, we live on it with the rednecks. There's like people who have lived here. There's generations that live here. So their grandparents owned the house they live in, and then their parents had it, and now they have it. So it's a very old school type road, but it's also kind of nice because you have that safety. There's been like, there's never really anything happening on this road that people don't know about. You've got those people, I'm sure, that are the ones that are looking out the window most of the day, if they're home all the time or whatever. But yeah, I think here I think that's why we feel more safe, when we started feeling more safe as the girls got a little older, to have them home. And we had said when they started junior high that we'd get them cell phones because we don't have a home phone here. So that's a big thing, that they have a way to communicate and call us. So that was kind of one of the deals as well, for the being left home alone for however long, usually only a couple of hours. But you kind of gradually get there. It's one of those things that you kind of test the waters, see, because, you just never know. Kids could seem to be fine, and then maybe, they're like, oh, no one's here. Let's, I don't know, break stuff. Who knows? You just kind of have to test it and see how it goes, and then, you figure it out.
The big concern in our house is, are they going to eat all the sugary things they know they're not supposed to?
Right.
That's
maybe.
our biggest concern.
That's
honestly,
fair. That's fair.
When that's your biggest concern, it's pretty good. We're in a good spot, I feel. But yeah, that's it's kind of where I'm at anyway.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah, you had put out in our ClickUp, you put there were some subjects you wanted to chat about today.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to start with one thing, because I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget, because I had myself a good little giggle, and it has nothing to do with parenting at all, but it just struck me so funny, just of like a mental space that this person was in. So I was driving home yesterday from work. I'm now like working in the city again, so I'm on the highway on my way home, and I'm in the passing lane. And as I'm getting up closer to this car, I can see that their gas tank kind of door was like kind of not all the way open, but it looked like it was kind of hanging on for dear life and kind of flapping away in the wind there.
Right.
And excuse me. And so I saw that, and I was kind of looking. And then as I got closer, as I was passing the car, I saw that there was something over top of where like the gas tank door is. And as I'm driving along, I look, because normally your first thought would be, I should probably let this person know maybe that this third thing's open. I don't know, maybe that's just a Canadian thing to do. But anyway, clearly someone had done that multiple times, that instead of fixing the problem, which I can't imagine it would be too hard to fix that, she had put these things that are like stickers, and just it said "I know" over top of the gas tank door that was broken. So instead of just fixing it, she decided that I'm just gonna go buy and put these on my car to let people know that I know that it's broken. I don't know, it made me laugh. I was like, I don't know what mental state you're in, but I feel you. And I couldn't believe it. I thought that was so funny.
That's a pretty clever solution, to be honest. Like, that's pretty good.
But I mean, like, how hard would that be to fix? Like, rather than just getting it fixed, you went through all of that effort to like buy these sticker things, write out "I know" and stick it on your car. I don't know. It was funny. I thought that was really hysterical.
That is funny. But I mean, it depends on how much it was going to cost to fix the problem and that kind of thing. So I get it.
I get that for sure. But I just was thinking, like, it's just a door. I would imagine you could just replace. Anyway, whatever. I just thought it was really funny. It's not like, her front bumper was hanging off and she was like, "I know." It was.
That's more of a Winnipeg thing. Half the cars in this city they're one corner of the front or the other corner are smashed out.
Right.
Just from hitting snowbanks, from hitting other cars.
People, whatever.
Listen, I've lived here since 2014, and I've been rear-ended 3 times. Mm-hmm. That's not okay.
But I mean, that's kind of, well, I guess I've only ever been rear-ended once, but it was also in a drive-through, so.
Yeah, you told that story on this podcast, actually. I don't remember what episode that was, but...
I don't know. It's in there somewhere. Anyway, I just wanted to start with that because I thought that was really, it just gave me the giggles. I thought that was funny.
Just imagine like going to the play place and you know your kid's being a dick, and then the parent walks up to you and you're wearing a sign that says, "I know my kid's a dick." Like, it's like,
yeah.
You don't need to tell me.
I know.
Hashtag I'm well aware. You know.
Yeah, it's like I'm their parent, so clearly, you know, apple tree.
Yeah, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, I thought that was good. Anyway, one of the things I also wanted to talk about, because I know that this is a whole thing that's been going on. It's like all the craze, and I just never hopped on board because I was like, I don't know what that is, and you know, I just didn't care to want to know about it. But the girls, they came here this week on Monday, and I think it was Tuesday night, they were like talking about Wordle. And I was like, I've seen this 800,000 times on like all of my social medias. I see people posting their scores, and I don't know what the hell that means. It's like a block color things. I'm like, I don't know what that is. So they're like, they're like, you're not playing Wordle? And I was like, oh, I don't know how to play it. They're like, get on it right now. So, because it's, I guess this guy, I think he's like a Welsh guy that created this game and then sold it to the New York Times. So
for like a stupid amount of money. Good job on him, by the way.
Well, I was actually looking it up because I was like, how much did he get for that? I was just curious, right? But it didn't say a specific amount. It just said the low 7 digits. Whatever that means. Anything below 10 million, I guess, and above 1, whatever. Anyway, so they showed it to me, and
I wish I had created Wordle. I'm really good at it, by the way.
Yeah, well, I only just started, and so I've only done, I guess it was Tuesday I did it, and what is today? Thursday. So yeah, I've done 3. So anyway, they showed me how to do this, and then I couldn't get the concept at first of like, well, how do you start it? And they're like, you just pick a random 5-letter word. I'm like, what? That makes no sense. Yeah. And then once I realized, it's like, oh, you have this many right, and they're either in the word and not in the right place, or if they're in the right place, then it's green, and the yellow means they're in the word, and then whatever. Anyway,
right.
Most of you, if you've heard of Wordle and you do Wordle, you don't need me to explain it to you. But yeah, so I did it, and I was like very impressed. I got like a 4 out of 6 the first one I did, and then the last 2 I've gotten 3 out of 6. So I'm like, am I a genius? I think I might be. Not at all. Just luck of the draw. Anyway, it's this whole crazy thing, and then now I'm stuck into it. And I mentioned it at work the other day that the kids taught me about it, and all these, there was like 10 people. Are you talking about Wordle? I'm like, yes.
Right. So
yes,
look,
I am.
My distribution is actually pretty good. I don't know
what that means. What does that mean?
It means like
you get more of them in 3.
I get them in 3 and 4. It's taken me 6 once, and I haven't gotten it in 1 yet, which is.
I mean, that would be pretty. That's just a fluke. That's not.
I use the same word to start every time.
Okay, right. So maybe, I mean, basically like the lottery. At some point, if you use the same numbers, they're going to come up eventually.
I've got it in 2 5 times. I've got it in 3 20 times. I've got it in 4 17 times. It took me 5 3 times, and it took me 6 once, and I have yet to lose. So.
Okay, well, this isn't called the Adam bragging show, okay? Well, I just started Wordle, okay?
Legit said Wordle family competition, which is why I'm bragging, because I'm just waiting for you to troll me with a challenge.
Well, the girls were talking about that they've heard like some people, you know, their stepdad and his 2 daughters, they started this competition of like, they're going to do it for one whole month, and there's like, I don't know, it's like something little, but it's like $100, $100 on the line. Whoever has the best average at the end of the month wins the money. So it got me thinking, and I was like, I like competitions. I like, beating children and being like, ha, and, what like stuff like that. So I thought maybe we could kind of start something like that. Whether it's, well, I don't know. You could make a whole group if you wanted to, but I just thought it'd be kind of like a fun family competition to do it. And it is kind of fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be.
I think it's super fun to do that kind of stuff, and I would totally be willing to jump in on that. Do some sort of competition every week. You and I can compare how we've done over the week on the show and get people to send us theirs and see.
Yeah. Well, see, that's what I would love to see because, like you said, there's different. I'm only learning about this, like I said, but it would be cool to see, if you're kind of in a little bit of a competition and you get a couple people involved and you kind of share it with each other every day. Like we could just post on a social media, and if you guys want to send us yours, we'll share it on ours, and we can kind of just, get the competition going with everybody, right? Bragging rights.
Yeah, because we are a very competitive family generally.
Yeah.
So,
that's fair.
My sister's all about it, but let's do a Wordle competition.
Okay, I'm in.
I'm into it. So I got. It's funny because I always message my immediate family. We have a chat, and I always message them because I do it right at midnight when the time changes and the challenge comes out.
Really?
Because I like doing it where nobody can accuse me of cheating. Because at midnight it's, that's when it's available, and so you can't. There's nowhere to search it yet because the answer hasn't been revealed yet. So I like doing it right
I never
at
thought
midnight.
about that. So they post, or people just probably post the answer. Is that how that works? Like some people can post what the answer is.
People love to ruin shit. If there's a nice thing on the internet,
right.
There's someone out there looking to fucking ruin it. And
that is so true.
So I like to do it before anyone has a chance to ruin it, and I share it directly with my family, which they hate because at midnight my time, it's 2 a.m. there in Halifax.
Do not disturb is on.
I showed my mom that. She gets very frustrated when you message late, and I'm just like, that's on you.
Then don't answer.
That's on you. Your notification settings are your notification settings. Like if I'm messaging the family chat, it's not an emergency. You can mute that one, pretty sure.
Right.
If I have an emergency and I need to get a hold of my mom, I will call her on her actual cell phone number, which I know people don't use cell phones as phones anymore. The phone part of your smartphone is quite underused these days. But if there's an emergency, she'll get a phone call, and if I'm not on her do not disturb favorites list that gets through to do not disturb, then that's on her.
Right. 100%.
Your children and your spouse, a partner, and your parents should all be on they get through my do not disturb filter if they call me. That should be a thing.
Right.
But if I'm messaging you in our family Facebook group chat and you're annoyed, that's not my problem. That's not my problem.
Agreed. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. So you hear that, Mom?
Take that, Chris. Figure out your D&D.
Yeah. Speaking of D&D,
No, I meant the other one. I meant Do Not Disturb.
I know. D
Not the
and
Dungeons
D
and
and D. I know. Speaking of Dungeons and Dragons, I played the second part of our adventure with the kids on Tuesday, and they loved it. They're really into this whole Dungeons and Dragons thing, and I left it on a cliffhanger, which obviously you want to do because it's a 3-part adventure that is that I'm using from this book, and then after that I'll have to write my own kind of supplementary. If I want to continue using this storyline, I'll have to expand it myself, it's kind of designed for you to do that.
Right.
But the point is, the next morning, Amelia, I'm driving her to school, and Amelia is going on and on and on about all her, what if it's this, and what if it's that, and what if this thing meant this, and she's just going through all of the different...
Just thinking about it.
Right? Just
scenarios,
trying to work out in her head what these creatures are all about, right? Why are there scarecrows missing from the pole? Why is this? Why is that? it's awesome because they're just racking their brains trying to figure it out and to know what the stories, so how that's all going to sort of come to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that it's making them think those ways.
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about last week, it's kind of one of those, scenarios where something like that teaches, some life skills in a sense of, problem solving and, I don't know, thinking through different scenarios and all of that stuff. So it is cool that there's kind of that like real life comparability.
Yeah. And it's very cool that, and I mentioned it last week, but the math skills, you have this many HP, you have this many hit points, and you're taking this much damage. So how many hit points do you have left? Now, how many hit points, do you think you're going to take in the next attack? Like, it makes them really think about situations and to strategize. And when they don't know what's going on, it's fun to watch them figure out, like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen next, so I'm going to do this because I'm anticipating something to happen. So it's just really cool. So that was my little update from that D&D versus Do Not Disturb.
Right.
So I'm sorry I took that to a left turn sort of place, but I'm really excited about how excited they are.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Totally. Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
No, that's totally fine. Cause I'm actually, I already had like something in mind to swerve us back into the phone because there's been a few different things that have come up, but one of my like, I guess not pet peeves, it's just something that like irritates me now. And I think it's just generationally, but also like technology wise, when you have people who like still call you rather than just texting you first, or I don't know, parents I think are an exception to this because they still will. Like I got my mom a cell phone for Christmas a couple years ago. And I could be kind of texting with her. Same thing with my dad. Kind of throw back a couple of text messages. Hey, how's it going? What are you guys up to? Blah, blah, blah. And then by about the fourth or fifth text message, I get a phone call. This is easier.
Just faster,
This is just faster to do. Which is fair. It is. Like if you just want to get a conversation out, I totally understand that. When it comes to other scenarios like work, when you have someone that emails you and they're like, let's just hop on a phone call. I'm like, I would rather fucking anything else than hop on a phone call with you right now.
And it's funny because there's some people who that is the case and call like, why are you calling me? And there's those people.
Yeah.
But there's also those kind of business people where it's like, if you email them, that email's just going to sit there until they feel like, but getting to it. So if you need them for something immediate, you have to call them.
Right.
And they're those people like, why didn't you call me? I was like, well, because that's the least, preferred option, essentially.
Yeah. I know. I find like I've run into different versions of people who have like different thoughts on it. You'll have people who are like that are saying, why wouldn't you just give me a call if it was so urgent? But then you'll have, I've had, this has happened on more than one occasion where if I call someone, say if you're busy or whatever, just don't answer it, right? I'll leave a voicemail or I'll follow up with an email or text or something. But I've had it happen more often and kind of recently, I think too, where someone will answer the phone and then be kind of short with you. They're like, I'm in a meeting right now. I'm like, well, why the fuck do you answer your phone? Like, just let it go to voicemail. That's a thing. I'll text you or email you later. Like, why are you mad at me? Because if you answer your phone, I'm assuming that you are available to speak, right? So I get so irritated with that when people kind of get short with me. And I'm like, listen, I don't want to call you. I don't want to talk to you on the phone. Like, trust me, this is my last option.
This is not the preferred option for either of us.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I think with my family, that's the exception because they're not, big email or texters. It's always the phones.
You say that. However, I mean, my mom does a lot of her work. She works from home, so she does all of her work on computers, and she would much rather chat in Facebook Messenger than have a call. I feel like that's
okay.
Which is fine. And what's crazy to me is that Nanny, yours and my grandmother, for
Yes.
those that don't know. Mine, that's the connecting part of our family, that's where from there down.
The pyramid scheme that is our family.
How cousins work. So we share a grandmother, and she is, I'm going to say, very not tech savvy. Like very, very unsavvy when it comes to anything. I remember she wanted to sell her computer one time, and she wanted to get rid of it altogether because she couldn't figure out, it was all broken. It turned out to be a shit ton of viruses and malware and all this stuff.
Oh, yeah. And she's had like 16 different Facebook accounts that I get invitations for all the time. Yeah, like it's...
Yeah, there's always a new one, and it's... Yeah.
Yeah.
And one time one of those messaged me and was like, oh, I need your help. I need this. And I was like, how about all of you scamming pieces of shit eat several dicks, you fucking assholes. I hate you so much. I'm going to come
aggressive.
to where you are. And I'm going, and then there's the broken English. And I'm just like, listen, my grandmother can't type, as she types everything in all caps with no punctuation, but she can spell,
And I don't know if she uses a lot of emojis with you, but that's what...
Oh, yeah. All the emojis and 1,700 X's and O's per message.
Yes. But I love that because if you think... So our grandmother is 84? 83, 84? I forget. That's terrible. Anyway, I know, but my brain's mush. So... But if you think about that, like an 84-year-old woman who really is not very tech savvy texting you, it's impressive to me because my mom only 2 years ago just started using a phone and is still not quite there, with all the technology and stuff. Like I remember my grandmother, my on my mom's side, she thought that was... She gets a kick out of everything I can do on my phone. She's like, you just found all of that on that little device? I'm like, yes, Danny, I did. I did.
Yeah.
It's magic.
Yeah. You're a wizard, Harry. And but Nanny went like, and my theory was that she was blind, and that typing in all caps makes the letters bigger. And
that's fair.
That was always my theory, that she just needs to see better. So everything's in all caps. I can read it better. But then she also doesn't have to worry about shift this, shift that for names. Everything gets the same treatment across the board. True. Which is funny because I handwrite that way. When I handwrite things, I write in all caps. I just do.
I do a lot as well. I do that often. Yeah.
Like writing with like the swooping. That's not me. Which is funny because there's so many guys. You're like, oh, a boy wrote this. But when you say that, that kid could be 12, that kid could be 30, but you can read the handwriting and you can't tell. It's a boy, and it's somewhere between 12 and 30. Like, that's where the handwriting is. But I've never been that. Every time I write, people actually go out of their way to explain how neat and tidy my handwriting is all the time.
Well, if you write in all caps, it's kind of hard
But it's very neat. It's also very neat and tidy. I don't have an example of it. I could probably whip out.
It's okay, I believe you.
But like when I write, it's very clear. Because I need to read it later, and I'm not one of those people that scribbles things and I'm like, I'll know what that means later. I fucking will not know what that means later. That is that is going to be a cryptograph for the ages. Like other civilizations are going to come to Earth and find that and go, I wonder what he meant. You couldn't even ask me. I wouldn't know. So like, it's not helping anybody.
So what you're saying is you couldn't be a doctor for only that reason.
My writing is too legible.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. And it's funny because my dad also writes very clearly and concisely. And it's when you read it, you're just like, you don't think 12-year-old boy, which is most guys writing.
My father is the same. But he cursive. Like when he writes me a card for like Christmas or birthday or whatever, it's beautiful. He has beautiful handwriting. Like it's actually really nice.
But it's all in cursive, which kids these days can't even read.
Right.
I wrote something in cursive the other day, and my kids they're reading and all this stuff. They have all these graphic novel books, and they read in different types of handwriting and all this stuff. They can read and write their own handwriting and all that. Right. But when I write in cursive, they're just like, what is that? What is that? And I'm like, yeah,
Right.
exactly. But they're 7 and 9. Maybe they teach that later. I don't know.
Who knows? They may. I don't even know if they teach that anymore. To be honest with you, might be like a dying art because of technology. They're like, I don't need to fucking write anymore. I got a phone.
Well, that's just it. And fuck
And a
the
computer.
teachers that told us that you have to learn this long division because you're not always going to have a calculator in your pocket. It's like, fuck you, Mrs. Van Yay. I got one right here.
Wow, that one was personal.
Sorry, that got really heated inside. for
Got a
some
little
reason.
heated. Yeah.
Shake it off, Adam. We're fine.
Everything's
We're gonna make it
fine.
through.
Everything's fine. We're here. We're good.
Okay. Yeah, so I just... Everything changes. And I'm at that point in my life where, like, there's a lot of things about what I grew up with that I really hope don't go away. But there's a lot of new things coming that I'm, like, really excited for. But I'm also at that point in my life where there's a lot of things behind me that I'm like, fuck, I wish we could just get rid of that. And there's things coming down the pipe that I'm like, I really hope that doesn't become a thing. So, like, I'm stuck. I'm right in the middle of all that. I don't know. I'm on my way to becoming the old man that just hates everything.
Right.
But right now I'm in the middle where half of the things I see in front of me are very cool and I wish I had them as a kid. And half of them are like, holy fuck, please no. So that's where I'm at.
That's fair. I think we all that happens every generation. Like we all think that way. When you're younger, you're like, oh, our parents don't know anything. And then you get older and you're like, wow, they actually did know shit and I should have listened to them. And then you get to the point where you have your own kids and you're frustrated because your kids won't listen to you because you now know nothing and they know everything. And it's just like this natural progression that I think no matter what the world is like in the sense of maybe technology or schooling or whatever, I think that's just a natural progression that happens with getting older. Like you either become your parents and then you say things, you're like, wow, fuck, that was just my mom or my dad that just came out of my mouth. Or, and then, as you get older, there's things that I think you just get less and less, you care less about a lot of things. And you just don't give a fuck anymore. Like you're like, I'm not trying to impress anybody anymore. I'm, when you kind of get to a point in your life where you just start letting that shit go. And then when you're like 80, you let everything go. You let you let looking both ways before crossing the street go, or driving. Maybe you shouldn't be doing that anymore. Whatever, bowel movements. You just let it all go.
I'm so stuck. I'm in the middle. There was a kid going down the street. This was right before the first snow this year. And he's whipping up the street and he's on a freaking hoverboard. And I was like, that is so cool. But I'm also thinking like, stay off my lawn, just...
You're going too fast on the street.
Like, yeah, that can't be safe. That's really cool, though. Like, just...
So what's the hover... Can I ask, like, what's, aside from, like, going back to the future, what the hoverboard is?
It's the thing that you stand on and it has two wheels on either side, and, like, when you
like
lean forward, it moves forward.
One of those. Oh,
yeah, those are called hoverboards, Katie.
I don't know.
Get caught up, lady. Literally what we're talking about. But...
Is that what they're called, though? They're called a hoverboard?
Yeah, they're called a hoverboard. Okay. There was another guy going down the street, and it looked like it's one of those skateboards, but there's a giant wheel in the middle.
Okay.
And it has a little motor, and when you lean forward, it moves you forward. Like a hoverboard had sex with a skateboard. But they're like, it's... Do you remember those... What the fuck were they called? Those pogo balls? When we were kids, when you would, like, squeeze the... There was a ball with, like... It looked like the Saturn with the little ring through the middle.
Yes. And it's like the balance things, right?
Yeah, and you grab it with your feet and you bounce around on it,
yes.
Right? So imagine that, but the middle is a wheel.
Oh, okay.
So instead of bouncing, you're just grabbing.
That just sounds like something I would just fall off of and break my neck.
I know, and I'm trying to describe it, and I just feel it's like such an old person trying to describe this.
That thing with them bare wheels and the turny things? Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Those pogo balls were so popular back when, like, what the hell was that other thing? Those hoppets? What were they called?
The one that you put on your foot and you spin it around and hop over
you have
it?
to hop on. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I had one of those.
But our kids are just like, what?
Like the fuck? Actually, I have a funny story. Just because now that I know what an actual hoverboard is, I've actually seen one before. I just didn't know it was called a hoverboard. So apologies for that. But I did see a video, just like one of these like small clips. It probably was like a TikTok that was shared on like an Instagram feed, whatever. Anyway, the caption just was, I told him to let it charge and he didn't listen. And it was just a video of the kid going up the hallway on one of those hoverboards, turning around, came back, and then it died, and he just fell right on his face onto the ground. And I was like, that's what you get for not listening to your parents. See, it's one of those things you just sometimes just have to learn things on your own, you know?
Lesson learned.
Right. Or probably we'll do it again. Goes either
Lesson
way.
probably not learned, let's be real.
Fair.
But, yeah. That was kind of where I was with that. I'm just sort of stuck in the middle. So there's things that I really, kids are doing, and I'm like, oh, I wish I could do that when I was a kid. But the things that are gone are things that will never be back because of technology. Like, we got here from cursive writing, which I really don't give two shits about one way or the other. I can write in cursive and I can read cursive. I have no need to do that almost ever these days. Except for to confuse my children. So for shits and giggles, cursive is kind of fun.
Decipher this code.
Yeah, right?
And you get the prize.
What I should do is start writing just a bunch of curse words in cursive and that's cursive language now.
If you can read it, then you can say it.
It's cursive cursing. Yes.
I'm with it. That's good.
So, but yeah, I'm.
You're getting old.
Yeah.
Moral of the story. You're getting old.
That is the moral of the story, is that I'm getting old.
Yeah.
And my kids are starting to do stuff. And, I was holding something the other day, and I was like, it was one of the kids' toys or something, and they're like, oh, it works like this. And when you're getting shown how to do something by a 9-year-old, first of all, they're going to skip 6 steps because they assume that you're on a level that they are, which is not the case.
Yeah.
And I was so annoyed she was showing me something, and I'm just irrationally annoyed. Made no sense to be that irritated. Made no sense. She was showing me how to use a thing that she was using, and was one of their tablets or one of their. I got them smart watches, little kid ones. Yeah. But they were showing me how to do something on one of those, and I was like, I would have figured it out in 2 seconds, but they're like, oh, let me show you. And you're like, okay, I'll let you show me. And then you're 10 minutes later, and I'm like, you haven't shown me the thing that we started with. You've shown me every other thing that this thing can do.
I think kids are just naturally, they just go bounce around. Like their brain is just going a million miles a minute, and they're just assuming that you're inside their brain and can know what's going on. I get the same way if I'm trying to explain something to someone that I say do. Like, there's some things that you just do that you don't think about, like the steps. If you have to teach someone how to do something, it's just, you're like, oh, I do this and then I do this. Like, okay, well, how'd you get from this to this? And you're just like, oh yeah, I guess I have to kind of explain.
Oh yeah, those 6
things.
Steps in the middle. Yeah,
exactly. And I think that that's exactly one of those scenarios, right? Because kids are so, they're like sponges. They kind of soak up a lot of information, and they can kind of they pick up things easily. And, when the kids were younger, they could do things on their tablets and stuff that I sure as hell didn't know how to do. And so I'd watch them do it, and I'm like, cool.
But I think when they're showing you how to do stuff, I think half of that problem that they have with explaining it and skipping steps is that when we deal with kids, we always teach them a thing, and then we teach them the next thing. And then when we know that they understand that, we teach them the next thing. Yeah. And so, we don't give them the tablet until they understand this and this and this. Then when they have the tablet, you can do this on it because you know how to do that. So then when you go to do the next thing, you already know how to do that because you already did the thing before it. But kids don't think in iterations. They think, oh, if you're trying to do that, then you must already know everything up to this point. So here's how you do that. Yeah, but why is that the thing? Oh, because this. Yeah, and it's very, being taught things by your children is a which is why old people, I think, are just like, I don't give a shit anymore. Like, they're just, if I have to learn it
they
from
don't have
them,
the patience.
I just don't
so
want to
listen,
learn it.
If this is going to take you more than 2 minutes to explain to me, I don't need it.
Yeah.
I don't need it in my life.
I have gone how many years without this at this point?
Yep.
The rest of my life can go without it also. It feels everything eventually just feels unnecessary. If I haven't learned it by now, no, and I'm in the point of my life where I still want to learn stuff, but I only want to learn what I want to learn. You know?
Right. Because you have a choice of stuff you want to learn.
I'm going to get to a point where I don't give a fuck about anything. I don't want to learn any new shit. I'm totally fine with the shit I know. And if it takes any effort at all to learn the new thing, no thank you. Unless you could say, hey, that thing you already know how to do, it's like that but a different color. Like, it's like, that's kind of what I'm looking for. If it's not that, fuck
so we can
off.
just,
like,
we're already like planning the next step of your old grumpy man, stage of your life.
Am I planning it or am I acknowledging it? I'm really not sure anymore.
I mean, a little bit of column A, a little column B.
Kids, they just know stuff, and then they'll come home and say shit, and I'm like, how did you put that together on your own? Because either it's something super inappropriate, and I'm like, where did you learn that? And why did you use it properly in context? Like, that takes skill and time to learn. Mm-hmm. And I know you didn't learn that one from me. I mean, if you had said this, that was totally my fault, sure. But I don't know where you learned this thing. That's a bridge too far.
if the one thing that I think Rod and I have done right with those kids is the level of sarcasm that comes out of their mouths. Sometimes it pisses me the fuck off because I'm like, don't use my powers against me. Do not. I taught you those. You go use those out in the world and annoy other people. Don't use that on me. But it's like, that's one of the best things is their sense of humor. Both of them have like different kind of humor, but they both have really good senses of humor, very sarcastic. You kind of have to be in this household, to be honest. And like my entire family, we're all sarcastic anyway. So it's kind of just like an innate, personality trait that we end up having and passing on to people, whether they want it or not. Unfortunately, the kids just didn't have a choice. We just brainwashed them into having it. But it's great because now we can just we shoot the shit and we just kind of razz each other all the time. And it's great. I'm like, this is so much more fun than like having to sit down and be like, okay, so this is what we're going to talk about today. We're just like, fuck off. And they're like, all right, cool, peace, see you later. I'm going to be up in my room. I'm like, okay, so cool, see you later. Or it's like they do something, you're like, please don't fucking do that. And then they'll still do it anyway, and that's just
Of course
whatever.
they're going to do it anyway. That was a given. You didn't even have to say that part. Every parent in the world knew they were going to do it anyway.
Yeah,
but,
we try. We try. We do what we can. But you know what? Those little wins, it's things like that I think sometimes, like I've seen things before where they say, if your child's kind of an asshole at home, I mean, I'm just paraphrasing. That's just the words I would use. But if out in the world,
if your kid
good
is
people,
behaved out in the world, but they're assholes at home, it's because they know they can be assholes at home because they feel loved and safe.
Yeah, and if
that is exactly my household.
Exactly, and that's why it's always funny when you hear things about the kids and, oh my God, they're so helpful and so, great and very polite. And I'm like, our kids? Those two? Like those ones, so specifically. I mean, we know they're good kids. It's just funny because we just see different sides of them, which is it makes sense. It does make sense that they're more comfortable kind of letting that angst and anger or whatever out at home rather than out in the world sometimes, right? So anyway, I just think those are...
It is nice when your kids are comfortable being themselves. And I have the problem in this house because I'm sure Rod has the same issue because there's 3 girls in my house and they gang up on me.
Yes.
Right? My partner, Katie, and then Jamie and Amelia, they get together and they gang up on me. And I'm like, hey, that's not fair. I'm the only dude here. And they're like, no, you're not, because the cat's the boy and the dog's a boy. And I'm just like, no.
And they can't talk.
And what's funny is when Katie starts like play fighting with me, the dog will come bite her. Like he'll come like rescue me. And I think that's hilarious.
He's like, I got you, bro. Don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's because I work from home and I hang out with him all day.
Totally.
Like,
yeah.
So I think that's what it is. But he's just, no. That's my guy. And it's the only time I
He
feel
feeds
that.
me.
And since the start of the pandemic, when I've stopped seeing all of my friends in public, it's the only time I've felt like somebody really has my back is when my dog is like biting my girlfriend.
Listen, it kind of, from last episode, just low standards. Like, I feel this way when my dog sticks up for me. We just got to keep the bar low.
my bar
Well-
my bar was, I used to have a really high bar, and then I had kids, and now my expectations are a lot less because there's no way to keep things clean all the time, and my house is just disorganized, and so I've lowered my
Yep.
standards on that. And
Yep.
and then now I have a blended family, myself and Katie, with our own kid coming together to form one family, and now we got the dog, and there's that to maintain, and we have fish now, which is the thing, and so we just, every time we add things, I just have to lower my bar a little more. But I realize that my bar is basically everyone is alive, and that's what I can ask for at this point.
Yep.
Because when COVID hit, my bar dropped to everyone is still alive, and I haven't raised that bar yet.
I feel the same way. And I think it's almost that I'm just hesitant to do that because I'm just worried that the whole world's going to crash again. And you're like, oh, fuck, like maybe it's too soon for that.
Yeah.
So it's fine. Just get through the days.
If I can't go to the pub and hang out with my friends that I know I can just sort of chat with, and there's no pressure and whatever. If I can't do that, I really feel kind of lost, actually. And that's been the last 2 years. So in Manitoba, the restrictions are lifting on the 15th. No masks required inside and all that kind of thing. And I can't tell you how excited I am. Mm-hmm. That said, now that I have the girlfriend, 2 kids, dog, stupid cat that I don't care for, and like all this stuff, I don't really have time to go do the things I used to do.
Yes.
Because now the expectation is that this is what we do. But when that opens up, I think I'm going to have a real hard time. And I think I'm going to butt heads with Katie a lot, my Katie, because she's an introvert.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's
a
very
homebody.
Yeah. And I am very, very not an introvert. And the last 2 years have been killing me.
Yeah.
And this might be a little bit of a therapy session here, but like the last 2 years have really, and I mean really, hit me in a lot of negative ways. It's been very, very bad for my mental health, which is another reason I'm so excited to be doing this show again with you, because I'm reconnecting with family and I get to talk to somebody outside of my house. And
also, unfortunately, is another girl, female, whatever, and also named Katie. So, I mean...
All right, so it's a lateral move, but still.
It's still a move. It still counts. It still counts.
I'm just saying, it's still outside of the house. And I know that when it happens, I'm going to want to go to the pub
totally
once a week. I know I'm going to want to go out and play soccer, and I'm going to want to go to the gym and this and that. And I know this is going to cause a lot of problems for our current setup and our current schedule as it is. So I'm really not looking forward to that. But we don't have a lot of time. I don't want to usurp the rest of the time so that I can have my own little private therapy session sitting here. But
listen, we've got more weeks to go for episodes. Listen, we can just continue on with our therapy. If you listen, you listen.
Put
Welcome.
a pin in that. We'll start on the downer note on the next episode. We could go up from there.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's get to the top tweets, because I think that was a thing. Let's get to the top tweets. What do you got for us this week, lady?
All right. So first one up, I really should have my glasses on. I can't wear my glasses because when I have the headphones on, it squishes into my head and hurts my pea brain. So just bear with me.
You said it, not me.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm aware. So
while she's looking for those, and what I'll do is I'll tell people that they can follow us on all these socials, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We're on Twitch. We do our lives on Twitch, which is just twitch.tv/PaRANTing. Facebook is /PaRANTing. Twitter is PaRANTing Pod. Instagram is PaRANTing Podcast. YouTube, you're going to have to search. How else have we made it difficult for them? But anyway, yeah, follow us on all these social medias. It'll be fine. We'll get there. Back to you, Katie. Hit us with the top tweets.
All right. First one up I got for you. It's by @SpicyDisasterMa, which I like. My parenting style is giving my kids just enough dysfunction to make them funny.
Yep.
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 And that's why when they, like I said earlier, when they come down the stairs and I'm angry at my computer and I turn, I'm trying not to throw angry at them, because that's going to cause them dysfunction that is not funny. That's going to cause them like therapy bills dysfunction. What I want is when they go to social situations and see people interacting normally, for them to go, ha, that's neat. And, I want them to get a kick out of people being normal humans. So that's the level of dysfunction I'm aiming for.
Listen, I am with you on that for sure. Okay, Next up, we've got, it's by @ChrisIlluminati. Adults, kids are resilient. Also adults, well, I'm off to therapy to discuss all the traumatic shit I've been carrying around since childhood. I mean, yeah, we can.
I literally just had my own little private therapy session, and the only reason I'm doing that is because like the government, and if you want to get all political about it, they're like, basically it's to the point where I can't afford therapy because it's not considered part of our health system.
Oh yeah, listen, some of the health system stuff, it's just garbage. The setup's terrible.
Why are my eyeballs not like? Why is vision and glasses not considered healthcare? Why is the dentist not considered healthcare? Why is therapy not part of our healthcare system? So in Canada, we have a lot of we have a lot of advantages over other countries. Absolutely, voted #1 best country to live in. I boggles the mind, but that's where we're at. But especially when you compare us to the States, and they're like, you guys are your socialist system. I'm like, yeah, you and your broken leg that's still broken because you haven't gone to the doctor because it'll bankrupt your family. Congratulations, good luck with that. Yeah, you make fun of our socialist system.
I feel like you've had such a rough day that it's just oozing out of you.
I'm starting to it's been an hour and I'm leaking. I'm leaking.
Like, the way that you're talking, I'm like doing this clench thing. I'm like feeling your anxiety and stress.
Yeah.
But listen, this is what we're here for.
Why are they all different? Yes, why are they all different? That's sorry, we have the chat box going. For those that watch us live, that's
yes.
Raider Roddy saying that he is confused why all of I'm assuming the social media handles are different. And I think he's looking for me to blame Katie again because she threw it back in my face last week and said, I know that I'm to blame, but we both went off and did our own separate things and we just straight up didn't coordinate. So that's fine.
We just didn't coordinate that very well. We were like, you go do these ones, I'll go do these ones. And we just went with what we thought worked. And then we came together and we're like, wow, we did not connect at any level.
Nope.
Nope. Been too long. Been too long since you've been here.
Yeah, exactly.
So I blame you still. Still I blame you.
Right. But again, I just want to point out that we do have that chat box and you can throw it on the Twitch stream. You can throw in whatever you want to say and it will pop up here when it chooses to, because this first message didn't pop up there. But that's whatever.
It just does what it wants.
I just work here. And yeah, I take no responsibility. So what's our last top tweet for today?
Okay, last top tweet of the day is from @dadandburied. Email, happy to jump on a quick call if you prefer me. There is literally no situation in which a phone call is preferable. Oh my lord. There you go. It's up on the screen. Read it. I can't talk anymore.
I don't preferables as
I don't prefer the things.
If you're going to call me, that's not preferable. For purable. For
purable.
No.
I'll be okay.
Like, I'm a mixed bag. I don't mind a phone call if there's a point to it. Like, I think we can listen. If we get on a 5-minute phone call, this will take 5 minutes. If we keep doing what we're doing, it's going to take 6 days. I think 5-minute phone call is like that would be preferable. Yeah. But it needs to be. I think we can solve this with a 5-minute phone call. Done.
Yeah.
I
Agreed.
agree.
I'm
a
Time and a
project
place.
manager for a tech company. It's one of my side hustles. And so on a weekly basis, I have multiple video calls with clients and things like that, and it's to bring them up to speed and all this stuff because we send them reports all the time, but then we have to have a meeting. It's like, okay, so all those reports really mean this, right? So, and ask your questions and blah, 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 and off we go. So that's kind of where we're at.
No, I hear you. There's a time and a place. And just most of the time, it's not the place.
So I understand that that's the very millennial view. You know, it's like, don't fucking call me. Just don't call me. Just if you can't say it in an email, do I really need to know? It's kind of and I get that. I get that mentality. I do. But I'm a little older. I'm an Xennial. Like I'm on the other. Like but I identify more Gen X than I do millennial a lot of the time, with everything except for the actual technology use.
Right.
So I use technology like a millennial, but I have life experience and identify as a Gen X. So that's kind of, that's the Xennial in me. I was born right on that cusp.
Yeah.
But I'm at the point now where, you know, a call when it's necessary is still a thing. And I think that people underuse phone calls in a lot of situations, especially in the tech world. Like, yes, we're all in the same Slack channel. Yes, we're all on the same Discord server. We're all this, we're all that. We're connected as hell. But nothing will replace the ability to hear someone speak, judge their tone of voice, and get the way somebody says something, I feel, is very important. And that's something that is absolutely lost in Slack and Discord. I don't care
in
how
any
many
text,
emojis
like if you're
you
texting
attach.
someone, there's so like the tone and everything is lost. Like it's just up to interpretation. And if you're in a bad mood, whatever they just type to you, you're gonna read it as like in a sassy way. You're like, wow, what the fuck's the attitude for? They're like, I literally just said, how are you?
Yeah.
Like I totally get that.
So how are you?
Yeah. And I'm like, well, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah. So, but that's the thing. And me and my girlfriend get in arguments about this. We're way over time. But me and my girlfriend get in arguments over this because she would rather take her time, collect all of her thoughts like a fucking psycho. No, I'm just kidding. But like, she would rather know what she's gonna say, have it all typed out, and then be like, these are my thoughts.
Well, listen, I can agree with her on that, and Rod could attest to that, because I am someone that I would rather take my thoughts rather than saying something I don't mean or not saying what I actually meant to say and it coming across the wrong way. I would rather think about it and be like, okay, is this something really worth getting mad over? Or like, I know what you mean. Like, don't take something away for like 3 days and then bring back an old conversation. I'm just saying sometimes it's more appropriate to kind of really think something through. So there's also same time and a place, right? But I do that as well.
But it's frustrating for me because I absolutely have no desire to sit down and type all that shit out. That sounds like a nightmare to me. Having ADHD and potentially being autistic, I'm not really sure. More on that later. But though having to sit down and think, I'm already ahead of the conversation. I'm one of those people, like, you're talking and I already know how you're going to end it, and I'm just waiting for you to be done now because I've already decided based on how you started. I already know where you're going with it and what your point is, and now I'm only stopping talking to be polite and let you finish. And people feel like, oh, you interrupted me too soon. I'm like, yeah, but you were going to say this. Yeah, but that's not the point. But listen, it is the point because there's only so many hours in the day, and you are wasting some of them. So.
But the thing is, I get two sides of that. I have definitely done that, and I try and catch myself and try and stop doing that because I don't like doing that. Because people, if you take it from the other perspective, if you were someone who kept interrupting you on the assumption that they know what you're already going to say, it would fucking piss you off. You'd be like, all right, well, even if you know,
which is why I shut up.
Right, but I guess, so I guess anyway, we can put a pin in that because I have 8 minutes that I have to leave to go pick up a child. I'm sure she'll be fine. It's only like dark and she's in a weird, creepy building down the street. I'm sure she'll be okay. But anyway, put a pin in that. We can talk about that anytime. Maybe next episode. Who knows? You never know.
So, thank you all for watching the show. Again, all the social medias, follow us, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. It's nuts. It's chaos. We'll figure all that out later. It's a whole other thing. Yeah. But until next time,
I'm Katie G.
What is it? Goodbye, shalom, and good evening, or something like that?
Okay, whatever. Anyway, hope to see you guys next week. Thanks for listening, watching. Follow us on the social media because that's where I'm going to be posting a bunch of stuff to keep you guys updated. Just go follow us and whatever, and then whatever. Okay, love you. Bye.
Raider Roddy says you're welcome. We thanked him for watching, and he says you're welcome.
Oh, well, thank you.
And just so you know, you can also just twitch.tv/PaRANTing. Very easy.
Yeah.
Watch it live every Thursday, 5 o'clock. Bye.
Or 7 here. Bye.
Oh, yeah, 7 in Halifax. I'm sorry.
Bye.